So hello everyone, welcome to EduTap. I am Surbhi and this is Perspective 360 Degree, your one-stop solution for current affairs, descriptive writing and answer writing evaluation. So welcome back to a new week and first of all, let me know in the chat section if the audio is clear and the video is clear to you, if the alignment of video and my face, everything is clear, okay? So yes, I'm waiting for your responses. Okay, somehow I'm not able to select this tool. Let me just escape and start the slideshow again. So yeah, there we go. So good evening Sejal, Gomati, good evening, Sibananda, good evening. Finally day 60, I was connected with day 35. I'm really happy, Sejal. Also, we got your feedback on the email. Thank you for such a nice feedback, and we are very happy to know that the initiative is benefiting you. It's helping you in your preparation, and we hope to see all of you who have been following EduTap in the final list. May your all dreams come true. So all the best everyone. Ashok, good evening. Sibananda, thank you for the update. All right, Kshitij, okay, we are good to go. Thank you. Iftisham, okay, all clear. And Gagan, hello Gagan, is it your first class, first live class? So by the time I get your responses, let me just introduce today's topic to you. The topic for today is DBT and UBI. Now I'm not aware how many of you know the definition or the full form of DBT and UBI. Is this the way forward for India? India is a developing country. Many people, many families in our country have financial issues. So DBT stands for Direct Benefit Transfer. It is a policy adopted by government or a scheme by government through which the benefits of any scheme or policy are the financial benefits are directly transferred to bank accounts of the beneficiaries. So they do not travel through various governments. You do not have to go to any local office to collect your money which you are entitled to get under a scheme message in your bank account itself. So that is direct benefit transfer. And the second one is universal basic income. Universal, that means everyone has it. Basic income means everyone should have this amount of basic income. How can everyone have that? If government is providing that basic income for free without any work. So these two are the topics which have been researched for more than even 2 decades for a country, for our country. DBT has already been implemented. UBI, Universal Basic Income, has not been implemented. It is being implemented partially in various forms and schemes, and both of these topics are not just important for the descriptive portion but very important for your interview as well. So kindly hang on, and we'll keep the question today very simple. But first of all, let's look at the news articles which have prompted us to take this topic today. All right. Okay, Gagan. So welcome to your first class. I hope you'll find this fruitful. Thank you, Ashok sir. Shreyanshi, yes, that's right. Sejal, that's right. Yes, Shreyanshi, I know that you are a regular student. All right. Welcome all of you, old and new. All alike. All right. So the first headline is DBT helped spot fake accounts, save 2.5 lakh crore, says Finance Minister. And this is an update from January 26. They have said that DBT, Direct Benefit Transfer, that was launched in 2013 by the present government, it has helped us find out 2.5 lakh crore fake accounts. That means there were 2.5 lakh crore fake people who were getting benefits under various schemes of government, who were getting benefits of subsidies, who were getting this cash transfer because probably they had contacts with local officers, local politicians, and the people who were exact beneficiaries, who were actual beneficiaries, they were not getting benefits which they are getting now under direct benefit transfer because the money is directly transferred to bank accounts of the beneficiaries. Okay, so they have eliminated fraudulent beneficiaries. This is what the finance minister has said recently. Then there was this newspaper article in Indian Express. They have explained the difference between universal basic income and the schemes which are currently running, and the schemes that have been talked about here are Narega, Nyay scheme, which is not running as of now, but which has been promised by one of the state governments that they will bring it up for women of poor households. They said that we will pay 60 to 70,000 to all the women. We'll transfer this money to all the women of poor households of our state if we come to power. All right, then PM Kisan, which is already being run by government at the national level, under which 6,000 rupees are paid on an annual basis to farmers, irrespective of the size of their land holdings. So why do politicians rush to give direct benefit or cash to the poor? This has been analyzed. And also, there was a beautiful quote here which you can use in your answers, that if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. So before elections, around elections, we see that a lot of freebies are given by central and state governments alike. New schemes are promised, new benefits are promised, and last year itself the women reservation bill was brought in. So the writer says that if you just give a fish to a person, you will feed him for some time. But if you teach him how to carry out that activity of fishing, or how to earn money for himself, then you will feed him and his family for a lifetime. So first of all, does India stand in a position that we can wait and teach everyone instead of giving them direct benefit transfers, or giving them cash transfers like in the case of PM Kisan? Does India have that advantage of time, or providing such benefits, direct benefits or cash benefits, is the need of the hour right now, and we need to follow a balanced approach? So this is what we'll be seeing here. Then Economic and Political Weekly covered issues and challenges in conceptualization and implementation of Nyuntam Aay Yojana, that is again related to universal basic income, universal basic income, and Nyuntam Aay Yojana Nyaya scheme, which we just talked about, that guaranteed cash transfer of around 70,000 rupees to women of households, even when they're homemakers, because they don't get paid for any work that they're doing in the house. That came out in August 2023. So we've taken some points from here as well. In the Hindu, a topic appeared again around January 12 regarding we have adopted principle of universal basic income prevailing in European countries, says one of the chief ministers, and that's how we have prioritize this article for you. And not just DBT, we are covering both the topics which have been employed by governments from time to time to promote the income level of people, to promote their financial freedom and things like that. All right, so I'll keep looking at your messages side by side. So if you have any additions to make, the chat section is open for you, the chat box is open for you. Kindly go ahead and make all the changes or make all the additions that you want. For those of you who are preparing for RBI Grade B exam, kindly look at paper 1, economic and social issues. Look at this topic called national income and per capita income, and the second one, poverty alleviation. Also in general topics, kindly look at financial inclusion. These three are the topics which directly relate to the topics that we are doing today, that is DBT and UBI. For those of you preparing for NABARD Grade A, again for economic and social issues paper, look at poverty alleviation programs of the government, and secondly look at positive discrimination in favor of the underprivileged. So these two topics hold relevance there. For SEBI Grade A exam, national income is one of the concepts. In SEBI Grade A exam, again you have financial inclusion, but with respect to use of technology. So financial inclusion also finds relevance, but for English writing skills, this topic is going to be highly relevant. This was relevant when I was preparing for my exams. So and it is relevant even now. And for a developing country like India, which has so many high levels of poverty and per capita income is not very high, such topics which involve some monetary help by the government to the people, especially the underprivileged people, especially to the poorest of the poor people, these topics will always hold relevance till we turn into a developed nation. So let's see what is the expected question here. Analyze the benefits and disadvantages of direct benefit transfer and universal basic income with respect to Indian scenario. So this is a very simple question. It just demands a basic understanding of both the topics, and after this you will look at the pros and cons, that is benefits and disadvantages of both of these. We'll answer both of these separately to avoid any confusion, and whenever in a question you are asked two different topics and you've been asked to analyze them, the best approach is answer them separately if you can, especially if that question is for 600 words. That means it's a long question. Now this is the answer blueprint that I shared with you before beginning our answer writing here. we'll start our answer by writing an introduction, then second part would be main body, and the third part would be conclusion. Let's see what we'll have in the introduction. First of all, introduction, as you can see behind also, introduction starts with focus on the topic or theme. So as you can see, there are two topics, that is direct benefit transfer and universal basic income. Hence, we'll start by explaining DBT and UBI. You can as well say that these two are very important schemes, or steps for the country, for better living standards for people, for them to be able to afford basic services, or basic things of their choice in their lives. So you can start with an emotional appeal like that, and then you can start by giving definition of DBT and UBI, because here definition is required. You cannot just because everything else will be covered in the body part, and definition would be good here because these definitions are not very common. These definitions are not common like what is financial inclusion. Financial inclusion questions also can start with definition, but look at these concepts. These are more technical, and always start a technical answer with a basic and simple definition. So our introduction is going to be about defining both of these. Then we'll take, since DBT is mentioned first, we'll take the advantages and disadvantages of DBT. So body part 1, part A would be about pros of DBT. Body part 1, part B of this would be about cons of direct benefit transfer. Then similarly, there will be a body part 2 which talks about UBI and its pros or advantages. Body part 2, second part, B part, will talk about cons of UBI, that is disadvantages of UBI. And finally, we'll have a conclusion which will summarize everything, and we'll also give a way forward for our country, because the question has been with respect to Indian scenario. So kindly brace up all of you. Now we'll begin writing our introduction. So first of all, I want to bring to your light, there is this Work Free Foundation. Work Free is a project that is working in Telangana, Hyderabad especially, rural areas. So they work with children and adults. Manual scavenging, or manual scavenging is quite prevalent in many parts of the country. So people who have been rescued from manual scavenging and are trying to lead a normal life, trying to settle in the society, they might need some additional skills, they might need some additional amount of income. So this foundation, under this project, 1,000 rupees were given on a monthly basis to all the adults who have been rescued from manual scavenging, who have put out of that occupation, and 500 rupees for every child they were given. So on a monthly basis, these people were assured that apart from the free ration or subsidized ration that we get from the government, there is a foundation, there is an organization that is sending us money regularly. So whenever you have your own money, the first thing that it does is it expands your choices. It gives freedom to you. It brings freedom to your life. You can choose how to spend it, not just on a lavish lifestyle, but you can also choose to spend, let's say, on some book that you wanted to buy, on some educational facility that you wanted to join, on basic needs. Of which not everybody had the choice to avail earlier. So now those basic needs can be availed, and since you are giving money to people, hence they decide for themselves. Otherwise, in other schemes, what happens? For example, when you're providing subsidized food grains to everyone, it's the government deciding which food grains would be provided, what quantity of food grains would be provided. So things like that. So it has been understood that if you provide direct benefit of money to somebody, and then it is a more beneficial approach, and it brings more freedom to their lives. All right. So that is one of the examples. Now, first of all, direct benefit transfer, let's focus on that. What is direct benefit transfer? As I told you, you're just directly transferring some amount under a scheme to bank accounts of people. Let's say there is a scheme called Pehel Yojana. Under Pehel Yojana, you get subsidy for using LPG cylinders. Now, poor people, they cannot, afford LPG cylinders. So what they get is, they get subsidy for that. They get subsidized LPG cylinders. So in that scheme, that subsidy amount, whether that's 100 rupees, 200 rupees, 500 rupees, that is directly transferred to bank accounts of people. They don't have to stand in lines anywhere to be able to avail the benefits. previously they had to visit offices, they had to fill forms that yes, I am eligible for this benefit, for this subsidy given by the government, and that was a very cumbersome process for the administration. There were chances of corruption, and now it has become more clean and transparent. Obviously, people who had contacts with the local officers were gaining benefits even if they were not entitled to it. Alright, so let's define direct benefit transfer first. So the government of India initiated the DBT program on January 1, 2013. Starting with the date of a concept that has been asked at when it was started, it adds additional essence to your answer. It gives a solid beginning to your answer. But don't worry, even if you cannot remember the dates, at least remember the year, and at least even if date cannot be recalled, then the last point is that you remember the intent of a scheme. Why was it launched? So the objective of directly delivering benefits to the underprivileged population covered by 34 central schemes. So 34 central government schemes which were providing monetary benefits to people were included under the direct benefit transfer program. So through the DBT program, the government transfers payments directly to the Aadhaar linked bank accounts of the end beneficiaries, eliminating malpractices such as diversion and duplicate payments from the system. Also, fraudulent beneficiaries have been done away with, as according to what our finance minister has said recently. So the primary goal is to enhance transparency and eradicate pilferage in the distribution of funds sponsored by the central government of India. Now this word here, this term pilferage, is a very beautiful term. It was taught to me by my teacher, who said that pilferage is basically, let's say 1 lakh rupees is coming for a district, and 1 lakh rupees of subsidy is being allocated to a district, and the district head is the officer who has to distribute that 1 lakh rupee subsidy amongst all the beneficiaries in the district. So out of those 1 lakh rupees, only 50,000 get distributed as subsidies and 50,000 do not get distributed. So after a certain point of time, people will stop complaining, they'll get tired, they will not be motivated enough to visit the office if they have not got the benefit. And that 50,000 remaining, that lies in pockets of officials, or it is, somewhere used in corrupt activities by the officials or the local politicians. So that was the money that belonged to the people. So whenever you're using government funds or anything which is meant for people, but you're not giving it to the people, you're partially using it for yourself as an officer, as a politician, anybody like that, then that is known as pilferage. That means you take a part of it, use it for yourself, and you give some part to the public so that you're not caught for corruption. Also, you are not under the public eye, all right, because half of the people are getting the benefit. So even if some of them complain, their complaints might not be listened to. Now, here itself define UBI, Universal Basic Income. On the other hand, is a social welfare proposal in which all the beneficiaries regularly receive a guaranteed income in the form of an unconditional transfer payment. So Universal Basic Income is a concept developed for poor and developing countries. They say that if you have to eradicate poverty from your country, then you need to give certain amount of money to all the people in your country for a certain period of time. Let's say for next 10 years, all the citizens of India will get 50,000 rupees in their bank accounts on an annual basis. So that is universal basic income. And where will that 50,000 rupees come from? It will come from the taxpayers' money, from the taxes that the government is collecting. So they say that do away with all the subsidies. Under subsidies, let's say a farmer is getting close to around 10,000 rupees on an annual basis. So they say don't give any subsidies, don't give free ration, don't give anything else, just give money to people and let them decide where they want to spend it. So in the case of universal basic income, first of all, subsidies are cancelled. Secondly, a huge amount of money, a bigger amount of money is transferred to people's account, or a direct a universal basic income, or it is transferred regularly to people's accounts, or it is given in the form of cash depending upon the country. So it is a social welfare proposal in which all the beneficiaries regularly receive a guaranteed income in the form of an unconditional transfer payment. Whether they are working or not working, everybody gets the same amount of money. So people who are rich, they will be ultimately paying taxes, because that money that has been given to them by the government, that will also add to their income. So that will go back to the government in the form form of high taxes that the government will levy on people, and for those who are poor, they will be able to keep that UBI money that is given to them, because they don't have to pay taxes since they are not in the taxable bracket. So the goals of a basic income system are to alleviate poverty, obviously to eradicate poverty, and replace other need-based social programs that potentially require greater bureaucratic involvement. So with UBI, you do not need any bureaucratic involvement. You don't have to see which farmer is a small farmer, which farmer is a medium landholder, and what kind of DBT has to be given to which farmer. You're just giving the same amount of money to everyone, and you're keeping a check and balance with the amount of taxation you are carrying out. UBI is typically intended to reach all or a very large portion of the population with no or minimal conditions. Now we have understood both the concepts. Kindly let me know in the chat section which one do you feel is a better approach for eradicating poverty. Is it direct benefit transfer for like the schemes that are being run by the government? Let's say the government is running 50 schemes. So is it easier, or is it better to have direct benefit transfer separately for each scheme, or giving a universal basic income and doing away with subsidized food grains in your country, doing away with subsidized fuel, doing away with PM Kisan Yojana, and just supplementing it or replacing it with the universal basic income? Which one is a better approach? I'm waiting for your answers in the chat section. So yes, getting back here. Good evening, Neha. Thank you, Veenu ma'am. Okay, physics wala GK. Hi ma'am, paid student of EduTap. Welcome. So Sejal, e-vouchers can also come in DBT. E-vouchers, not really, but yes, if that's the only method to avail a financial benefit, and if that is technically possible for the population to which e-vouchers are given, then it can be considered a part of that. So yes, okay, people say DBT is best. Why do you think UBI is not better? Why not universal basic income? So this PM Nyaya scheme that is being proposed by the government, they say that if we come to power, then we'll transfer 72,000 rupees per year to all the women, women of poor households in our state or in the area where we come to power. So every woman from a poor house will be getting 72,000 rupees if she's, for being a homemaker, for all the household activities women do. So don't you think that is a better approach rather than running 10, 15 schemes for the women, in which again there are bureaucratic and administrative hurdles? What's your take on that? Okay. So now let's move on to the, the chat section is again open. So I'll move on to the next section where we'll first talk about DBT. This is the Let's Delve Deeper section for those of you who are watching Perspective 360 degree for the first time. In the Let's Delve Deeper section, we move on to the body parts and we create answers for the various parts of the question, and we constitute them in body part 1, body part 2 and various other subparts, and we also write a conclusion. So the actual answer gets written in the Let's Delve Deeper section. Also through the points we understand the topic in a better enhanced way. So Gaurav Sharma writes that UBI is better scheme as people have freedom, that they have money to buy anything. UBI can lead to misuse of money. Lucifer says that. Deepak says it enhances transparency. Yes, that's right. There are both pros and cons, and that's why we've divided this answer into 4 parts. We'll be looking at pros of DBT, then we'll be looking at cons of DBT. We'll be looking at pros of UBI and then cons of UBI, and then the main stand you have to provide is in the way forward. That is where you have to take a stand and stay with me so that we can all reach to a better way forward, and a stand can be taken towards the conclusion. Okay. That fish example was perfect. Yes, Amit, that's right. Kshitij, okay, some may not. So that's a nice debate going on here. Okay, so first of all, let's look at advantages of direct benefit transfer. First of all, bureaucratic hurdles get reduced. Let's first of all frame the benefits of direct benefit transfer in your mind. Corruption gets reduced. Fraudulent beneficiaries, they can be done away with. Corruption on the end of officials, that gets reduced. Pilferage is not there, that is part of corruption itself. The reach can be expanded. The actual beneficiaries who were not included or who were not even aware that they are a beneficiary of something, since now as part of DBT, your bank account has to be linked to the Aadhaar card, and bank accounts have to be linked to the PAN card also. So definitely government knows your financial status. So everyone who's a beneficiary can enroll themselves for DBT and they will be getting the benefit. So services can be expanded to far-flung areas also. Services can be expanded to people which were not previously a part of being a beneficiary or all these benefits. So first of all, expanded the coverage of services. We are talking about pros because it has been active since 2014. 2013 it was launched. Since 2014 it has been active. So first of all, expanded the coverage of services. Then instant and easy money transfer, financial assistance, transfer of funds and social security, and a door to new opportunities. We'll look at point number 5 in detail. So how has it expanded the coverage of services? First of all, in a mission mode approach, it has endeavored to open bank accounts for all households. You know that to expand the coverage of all these schemes, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana was launched, in which many people were targeted and motivated to open their bank accounts. In fact, free insurance with Jan Dhan accounts was also provided. So expanded Aadhaar to all and scaled up the coverage of banking and telecom services. So services have widened, your infrastructure has also been made better. So it created the Aadhaar payment bridge to enable instant money transfers from the government to people's bank accounts. See, we are in 2024, just think about 2014. It was so hard to be able to avail government services or benefits out of any government service. Now the money can be credited directly in your bank account because of this infrastructure. Especially we have talked about India Stack previously, which consists of Aadhaar, UPI and all the digital payment methods like that. There is a lot to India Stack. So you can use the term India Stack here, that India Stack has enabled money transfers from the government to people's bank accounts. Then the second one is instant and easy money transfer. It not only allowed all rural and urban households to be uniquely linked under varied government schemes for receiving subsidies directly, but it also transferred money with ease. So you know, the human resources that are required, that are considerably lesser than before, and hence corruption is lesser than before. So include the point of corruption here definitely. Then the third one here is financial assistance. Financial assistance means many families which were not getting benefited before are now finally benefiting. So in rural Bharat, DBT has allowed the government to provide financial assistance effectively and transparently to farmers with lower transaction costs, be it for fertilizers or any of the other schemes. So DBT for urea, it was talked about for a long time. DBT for kerosene, that was also in news for a very long time. So DBT in case of fertilizers has also been provided by government. That means where the government cannot supply directly the products or the products cannot be subsidized, the farmers are urged to buy those products with the help of Kisan credit cards, and the government says that once you buy it, then we will send the subsidy directly in your bank account. So with the help of that, the amount of fertilizers which was previously misused by farmers, because they used to get a lot of fertilizer for free at a very less rate by the government. So they used to sell it to industries further, or they used to overuse the fertilizers and pesticides in the soil. So now every bottle that the farmer is buying, only that amount gets subsidized by the government. The farmer has to show a receipt and his name that this is the amount that was needed and this is the amount that he has purchased. Only then the subsidy is given. So, you know, agricultural issues or the issues with respect to pilferage in fertilizers also, for example, urea, that has been done away with, that has been tackled with with a lot of ease because of coming up of DBT. Then transfers of funds and social security. So in urban area, PM Awas Yojana, in which poor sections of society are provided with fund by the government to build their houses, to build their pakka houses. And LPG Pehel scheme successfully used DBT to transfer funds to eligible beneficiaries. LPG Pehel scheme is the scheme under which LPG cylinders are subsidized. They are provided at a subsidized rate. Only when a cylinder has been bought, only after that the subsidy is given. So various scholarship schemes under National Social Assistance Program use the DBT architecture to provide social security also. So that's another point that you can use. And finally, it's a door to new opportunities because people now have more money in their hands as compared to before. And so it under rehabilitation programs such as self-employment scheme for rehabilitation of manual scavengers opens new frontiers that enable social mobility for various sections of society. Since more money is available with the people, and with the help of DBT also. For example, PM Kisan is there, under which 6,000 are given directly in bank accounts of farmers. So that is also using the concept of direct benefit transfer. So when farmers, they know that okay, 6,000 annually we are going to get, then some money is coming from the state government as well, so they know that we have freedom to use this amount of money in our children's education, in improving the agricultural technology that we are carrying out, in buying something for enhancing the livestock. So things like that, it adds more freedom of choice, and DBT has proved to do that. Now what can be the cons of DBT? That means what can be the downside level of DBT? And one of the answer that Gomati is saying, that inflation level increases. Do you all feel that when people have more money, then demand for many goods and services goes higher in the economy, which actually pushes the inflation up? Is availability of money in the hands of people one of the reasons for higher inflation in the economy? And if you have attended Kritika ma'am's classes, she takes current affairs, she teaches economy at EduTap. If you have taken her classes, then you must be aware of this concept. So let me know in the chat section. Now moving on to the disadvantages of direct benefit transfer or DBT. The first one is, okay, if Tisham says yes, it pushes inflation up. So the first thing is, many rural and tribal areas, infrastructure is not there. Banking facility and road connectivity is still not there. Tribal people who could be the actual beneficiaries of many schemes and are eligible for DBT, direct benefit transfers of money by the government, they do not have access to banking facilities or road connectivity. And sometimes even basic documents like Aadhaar card or birth certificate or certificate of residence, they are not there with poor people, tribal people, and in many rural areas. That's a problem, and that's a problem because we want to reach even the end beneficiaries, people who are the most deprived sections of society. We want to reach them, but we are not able to because of this hurdle. And a need for financial literacy is there, which would enhance awareness amongst people. This is more of a way forward. So while you're writing cons or disadvantages, here you can write that lack of financial literacy amongst people, which is there because people are not aware. Either they are not aware of what DBT is, or they're not aware of what benefits they are entitled to get. Secondly, in terms of also, so one of the most prominent issues is disruption due to payment schedule. So that has been highlighted from time to time. Then reasons for disruptions could be spelling errors in Aadhaar details, pending KYC, frozen or inactive bank accounts, mismatch in Aadhaar and bank account details, etc. So then tenant farmers are an issue here. Now many people, they're not actually carrying out farming practices on their own land. They're not carrying out agriculture on their own land. They're too poor to be able to buy their own land. And if you understand the PM Kisan scheme, it is only for farmers who hold land, who are landholders. And other schemes also, for example, Telangana government is running this Ritu Bandhu and Andhra Pradesh Ritu Bharosa scheme. These are only for people who hold the land, who are actual owners of land and carrying out farming practices there. But what about the tenant? What about the farm laborers? What about the agricultural laborers who migrate from states of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar on a seasonal basis to wealthier states of Punjab and Haryana? They carry out all the agricultural activities, and then they go back by collecting the amount of money whatever they get. They're not eligible beneficiaries under these schemes because they do not hold land. So one of the basic one of the most important loophole with DBT is this. Then there is lack of accessibility or proximity to enrollment points, or unavailability or erratic availability of officers or who are responsible for enrollment. So these are about the cons. Do let me know if you have more cons associated with the with DBT or more disadvantages. Talk about inflation here. We will be talking about inflation in universal basic income also. So you can add a 7th point here where you talk about inflation. If I look at this answer, I can very well assimilate point number 3 and 4 into just one point. And had I been at your place, I would have added the additional point of inflation. All right. And it has been proved from time to time that the benefits that people are getting under various social support schemes that has not benefiting the rural economy, because price of goods and services in rural areas has to be low, because that is not where we are not seeking profit from rural areas for the economy. We are seeking basic sustenance and basic development. And if such schemes are leading to higher price of goods and services in rural areas, then ultimately your beneficiaries are remaining relatively poor. Even if they are getting more money from the government, there is same or even higher level of poverty in rural areas. Then moving on to pros of UBI, that is universal basic income. So first thing, I think if I get a direct, if I get a universal basic income from the government, the first thing that it brings to my life and anybody's life is freedom. Freedom to choose where you want to spend it. But again, it comes with a lot of disadvantages. What if you do not have control over your bank account? Somebody else in the family who's, let's say, an alcoholic in a patriarchal setup, or in a setup in which, a lot of misuse of money is there. She is, the head of the family, and the person who should be the actual beneficiary does not have access or control over the money of the family. Then the money of government, the taxpayers' money, it gets wasted. So these things need to be dealt with. First of all, let's look at pros of UBI. It leads to poverty alleviation, which is the main aim of universal basic income. How does it lead to poverty alleviation? It reduces poverty and income inequality by providing a minimum income floor for everyone. Everybody gets 50,000 rupees. Everybody gets this amount of money in a particular year, and that too in shifts. Like on a monthly basis, some money could be given. Just like in PM Kisan scheme, you get 6,000 rupees. Farmers get 6,000 rupees in 3 installments. So especially the most vulnerable and marginalized groups, so they can be sure that this is something we can run our family with, we can run our livelihoods with, we can invest in a business, in a small business, so that we can afford a healthier lifestyle. So it can also help people afford basic needs such as food, health, education and housing. Always remember, a government cannot afford to have a universal basic income for everyone and at the same time run other schemes. So schemes, once they are done away with, only then a universal basic income in its full form can be brought in, because the government does not have that much money to spend. Then second is the health stimulus that UBI gives. It improves physical and mental health by reducing stress, anxiety and depression associated with financial insecurity and poverty. So let's say somebody is going through a health issue already, and since we are talking about health, that's why I'm talking about an unfortunate issue related to health. Somebody in the family of a poor household undergoes an accident, God forbid. So yes, the government under the PM Ayushman Bharat scheme, the government ensures his health checkup and ensures his recovery and everything. The medical treatment is ensured by the government. But what about the care part? The extra diet that is required for that person to heal, the extra care that is required for that person to heal. Maybe somebody has to give up on his job in the family to care for that person. So when families know that we will be getting a certain sum of money from the government from time to time, then that decreases the anxiety levels in the country as a whole. So it improves the physical and mental health by reducing stress, anxiety and depression associated with poverty and financial insecurity. And we know that a lot of anxiety and depression related disorders in our families, in our country, they are actually coming from financial insecurity and poverty. You see a lot of farmer suicides or other people committing suicides, that is because of lack of money. Then it can also enable people to access better healthcare, sanitation and nutrition, because now they have the choice. They have the choice because they have that financial freedom in their hand, choice to buy goods and services and avail the benefits of any service that they want. Then there can be simplified welfare system. You do not need that complex administration or bureaucracy, since the thing that you have to do is just transfer money into accounts of beneficiaries. So it can streamline the existing welfare system by replacing various targeted social assistance programs. Do you agree with it that there will be a simplified welfare system? And secondly, it reduces administrative costs and eliminates the complexities associated with means testing, eligibility requirements and benefit cliffs. Just give the same amount of money to everyone, and if they are rich, then they will then you'll get the money back in the form of taxes. If they are poor, then they will benefit out of that money. So do you think the welfare system is going to be simplified, or is it a question mark here? Then enhancing individual freedom. This is something that I talked about in the beginning, that UBI provides individuals with financial security and greater freedom to make choices about their work, education, and personal lives. And here I'll connect the point number 3 as well. Money gives you freedom, but what if that freedom cannot be availed by you? What if people are not wise enough to understand that they need to spend on healthy food? They need to spend on food grains like wheat, rice, pulses. They need to spend on cleaner fuel. They need to spend on sanitation. What if people don't prioritize it? So it also depends. The benefits of UBI also depend on the wisdom of the people who are getting those benefits. Okay. And then finally, you have the economic stimulus. And since we are talking about the pros of UBI, we are not talking about inflation here. It injects money directly into the hands of individuals, which stimulates consumer spending. And when consumers spend more economic growth occurs. More demand is created, and hence more industries, they feel motivated. More entrepreneurs feel motivated to set up their businesses, and hence development occurs. So it can boost local businesses, create demands for goods and services, and generate employment opportunities. It can also empower people to pursue entrepreneurship, take risks, because they know that some amount of money will be coming from the government. So let's say their family is secured. So there'll be more risk taking, which is something that is lacking in our country because of the social fabric that we have. And engage in creative or socially benefited activities that may not be economically viable otherwise. But marriages are also social activities, but we already spend a lot on our marriages. So with the upcoming of UBI, what if this extravagant expense is higher than before, extravagant wastage is higher than before, then that introduces a question mark here. So again, the wisdom of the population has to be seen before implementing any form of UBI. So first of all, what can be the cons of UBI? First of all, it's going to be very expensive to send money to people in their bank accounts, and it's going to be very haphazard also. It might create an environment of chaos. It would require very high taxes. If you have to tax, people who fall in the taxable bracket, but they should not be eligible to for UBI, but you are already transferring money in their accounts, so you have to tax them at a very high rate. So again, that might increase migration out of your country. So let's say a beneficiary or a citizen of the country gets 50,000 rupees on an annual basis, but his annual income after being taxed, the tax that he has to give is more than 50,000 rupees, and UBI is actually causing a disadvantage to this person. He doesn't need those 50,000 rupees of government because he's already wealthy, he's doing well, but the tax rate that he has to pay now with the coming of UBI is very, very high. So such people tend to migrate to other places. They get demotivated by the current government, and hence the government will have to spend cuts, or a lot of debt would be required on the government's end to finance an exercise of UBI. So it could also create inflation, very, very important, distort the labor market. People might feel very lazy to not go to work or not even to upskill themselves, because they know that till the end of their lives this much money will be given to them by the government. So they might cut on their spending, but they might be less in motivation to work, and it might reduce their productivity and efficiency. So just like the fish code that we studied in the beginning, that has to be taken into account. And laziness would come in. They might not be encouraged to acquire skills, education, and training. So had our father of nation Mahatma Gandhi been alive, he was very much against this idea of UBI. He urged everybody to work until their last breath. He was very motivating about working for your nation, building your nation, and he was very much against the idea of universal basic income. And see, this is a snapshot for you. This is not regarding universal basic income, but it is regarding how inflation is pushed up by government schemes which provide monetary benefits. For example, higher NAREGA payouts stoking inflation fears. And then Down to Earth magazine, they actually came up with a counter. This is from 2012, from 2014, and MG NAREGA and other schemes of government, even PM Kisan, they have been blamed for increasing the prices of goods in rural areas, which have pushed more people into poverty than they have actually lifted out of poverty. So MG NAREGA impact on food inflation is very limited. That was given to us, that was brought to us by Down to Earth. But many critics suggested that NAREGA wages have actually increased the prices of goods in rural areas, which were otherwise very low. So now moving to the conclusion. See, first of all, DBT is already under implementation, so you cannot criticize that a lot. In the cons of DBT, what we studied was mostly technical faults which are already prevalent in the implementation of DBT, and you also suggested some measures that, for example, the PM Kisan scheme, it does not include tenant farmers. So something that has been already implemented by government, try not to criticize it a lot, because that is already running. That means it has more benefits than disadvantages. You can analyze it, you can critically analyze it, but don't just bash it down. Okay, UBI has not been implemented, it might not be implemented in the near future. I don't see that happening, at least. Then cons of UBI were more detailed, and cons of UBI can be more, I would say, polarized. You can be very much against such a measure. That will not be a problem because government is not implementing it. Now, for a summary, kindly appreciate both of the ways, and appreciate them in the way that India is a developing country and we need such measures to lift people out of poverty or for poverty alleviation. One line of appreciation. Second line should be your way forward. Now you tell me, what is the way forward for a country like India? And do not go totally against UBI, do not write totally in favor of DBT or totally against DBT. What do you think? Can we have an amalgamation of both of these? Or do we have an amalgamation already that is running on such an idea? So kindly let me know in the chat section. Could you explain sixth point once again? Vihar, which sixth point are you talking about? If you could, clarify that to me. I'm not sure where did we have. Okay, sixth point with regards to, and by the time I'm waiting for all of you to give me a way forward for this answer, that what is the way forward for our country, DBT or UBI or amalgamation of both? And if you're talking about amalgamation of both, then in what form? So lack of accessibility to enrollment points. That means to be enrolled for direct benefit transfer, you need to give your bank details, you need to give your Aadhaar card details to the local authorities, and for that you have enrollment points set up, and these are not set up in all the areas. And here also in the enrollment points, a lot of corruption is there, availability of enrollment points is not there. Yes, Raj Prakash, that can be done. E-voucher for targeted spending, that can be done. That has again been used in, I think, for subsidizing urea. In many parts of the countries, e-vouchers are used for subsidies in urea and other fertilizers. Okay, so amalgamation of both is the way forward for Gaurav. Krish says, good evening, ma'am. Okay, welcome, Krish. Amalgamation on 7:3 ratio, I mean the priority, don't focus on the ration. I typed it just for understanding. Okay. So see, moving on to the conclusion, the first step is about appreciating both of these. So in the Indian context where poverty and income inequality are striking the right balance, that means we need both of the approaches. Talking about PM Kisan scheme, what is PM Kisan? PM Kisan scheme is providing you a form of universal basic income, but it is not universal because all countrymen are not getting it, but all farmers are getting it. So all the farmers are getting a basic income of 6,000 rupees on an annual basis. So that is a form of UBI. Partial UBI it is already, and there is also involvement of direct benefit transfer. That means money is benefited, money is credited directly into the accounts of farmers. Alright, so also there are other schemes which are for the benefit of girl child, where direct benefit is given, or all the girls are given with some monthly amount of money from the state governments, from the central government. What is that? That is a form of basic income. Okay, and DBT is also involved there. So amalgamation of both the schemes involving all the citizens and transferring some basic amount of money into their accounts, that is not at all an approach that India can go for, or India does not even want that. But partial form of UBI can be used. It has been used. It is already applicable in many of the schemes, and hence that is your way forward. So while DBT offers a targeted and potentially more efficient means of delivering benefits, it runs the risk of exclusion and administrative hurdles. So have a amalgamation of both. Provide money also to farmers and provide subsidized urea also. Provide direct direct benefit as part of PM Kisan scheme, and give farmers other benefits also. For example, MSP is given to farmers. Alright, so both of these have to run parallelly. We cannot just do away with one to realize the benefits of other. we can take benefits of both the types. So on the other hand, UBI provides a universal safety net but raises concerns about financial sustainability and inflation. So ideally, a comprehensive approach that combines the targeted efficiency of DBT with the broad inclusivity of UBI, it could be explored, for example, in the PM Kisan scheme. And with this, you can mention a scheme that uses DBT, for example, LPG Pehel Yojana and PM Kisan scheme for farmers. So striking the right balance between targeted assistance and broad inclusivity. Targeted assistance is a term that we are using for DBT. Broad inclusivity is a term that we are using for a section of society. For example, farmers or girl children or women or people who have been rescued from manual scavenging. So broad inclusivity has to be there. Also targeted assistance. Targeted assistance, DBT, broad inclusivity, UBI. Perhaps through a hybrid model could be the key to addressing India's complex socio-economic challenges effectively. So ultimately, just give this a way forward, that success of any welfare scheme, what does it depend on? Adaptability and how the scheme is implemented. Adaptability to the needs of the unique needs of Indian population, and ongoing evaluation and refinement of these approaches from time to time. All right. So that's your answer for the day. That's your conclusion. That's the last part for today that we are discussing. I've displayed the question again, and EduTap experts provide you with free evaluation services. So in the next 48 hours, kindly send your answers to us in the comment section below. That is by Wednesday 5 p.m. Post your answers in the comment section and we'll provide you with free evaluation services. If you have any doubts, then kindly let me know in the chat section. You can send us your feedback at hello@edutap.co.in or contact us at this number. And that's all for today. Thank you for joining in. For those of you who have doubts, kindly stay back. Otherwise, all of you, just download the PDF of this discussion tomorrow from our Telegram channel, and hence you can go for revision with that PDF. Yes, Gomati, that's right. You're welcome, Gomati. Thank you, Sejal. I'm really happy to know that. So we are already out of time. Perspective 360-degree sessions are supposed to be 30 minutes long, but today it's already 5:51. So I'll see you on Wednesday 5 p.m. it is. Take care, all of you, and all the very best.